Do you think it's even possible to diminish or shut down the influence of the cartels in Mexico at this point, or is it too far gone?
I mean, to be honest, I think that's going to be our next war.
Just right at the southern border?
I think that's going to be our next war. And when I say a war, I mean, the army isn't going to do anything. And they're obviously compromised. The government that they prop up or support is a leftist, anti-US and pro-China and pro-Russia government. The amount of pressure that is being built up as far as some of these caravans of humanity. And again, not all of them are criminal. Not all of them are bad. Not all of them have diseases. That's all scare and fear tactic shit that people say out there. But they're all feeding a giant organization that is also supplying the United States with drugs and other horrible things. And they're also fueling a war that's killing and consuming humanity in Mexico at a rate that is sometimes out fucking surpasses a war setting. And somehow that's not in the front page news because I don't know why. I don't know why that's being kind of kept quiet. There's already talk about and has been talk about for a while, and I've talked to Congress on this issue of naming some of these institutions and groups terrorist organizations. Mm-hmm. And I was asked, first off, as a Mexican national, also as a Mexican, national, somebody who was born in Mexico, somebody that actually fought against some of these organizations directly and saw some of the things that they do. And now with my activism, talking to people that have gone through the process of escaping that, if they qualify as a terrorist organization, yes. I mean, you tell me, are they politicized? Most of these, including the current president, who has visited El Chapo Guzman's hometown 6 times during his administration and has met with his lawyer and all that, and basically gave his condolences when El Chapo Guzman's mother died, and also closed off federal airspace over that area and called off the army to be in that area so they can have their private funeral. If anybody is doubting that, they can look that shit up themselves and tell me if they don't have some sort of connection. Every single political candidate in Mexico that has been assassinated probably has been assassinated either because they were sponsored by one cartel or the other. That's why they were assassinated, because these guys are political now. So they're politicized, clearly. They kill a bunch of reporters. One of the most dangerous things to do in Mexico is that. We run a small media company out of Mexico called Demoler. Well, we don't run it, but we support it, and it's a sister company of ours, basically. And I worry about them every day. It's like what can we say and what can't we say, or are we getting too close to something? That type of stuff. It's scary. So yeah, they have that. The ISIS got their ideas for the highly produced execution videos from the cartels. Narco blog was doing that shit before it was cool. That's where that's most of the traffic they got from the Middle East, and the ideas of how to export the terror aspect of executing somebody in a horrible way. They got that idea from Mexican cartels. So they, some of the weaponized drone technology that you're seeing showcased in other parts of the world, well, some of that shit was first showcased here, So it's very clearly a space where some of these activities are very much terrorism. We don't have a lot of IEDs, although we have seen a proliferation of explosives now, mining level explosives, but we don't have a lot of spent ordnance lying around like Iraq,
Yeah.
But it's there. And terror is definitely being utilized to put forth some of their influences and power, not only in Mexico, but in the US. They're very much politicized. They meet every single part of their criteria. But if you name them a cartel, the cartel's terrorist organizations, then you have to analyze some of their dealings. And if you go to Bevmo and see some of the tequilas on the stands, some of those tequila brands are sponsors of terrorism now, because they're basically owned and or managed and or have some sort of ties to cartel organizations. Some of the series on Netflix that paid some people for rights and paid other people for some other things, the people that make money off any sort of things related to that. And now they're part of that, I guess. And also some of this money and some of the politics that are involved in it probably stem all the way into Washington.
Ed, the picture you paint is a bleak one, but I really kind of draw a blank against arguments against what you've said. I mean, I've seen it to a degree with my own eyes. I think some of the hesitance to dig into those, if you look at it like a tree, you start working from the branches all the way to the, the trunk of the tree and all the way down to the base. I mean, I don't think it's conspiratorial to have thoughts of, well, maybe they're not taking a look at it because they don't want to know what it actually leads to, because they kind of already know what it leads to, but they don't want to publicize directly.
Yeah.
It is a bleak picture, but I think what you painted is an honest one. And it leaves me, maybe my final question for you to be respectful of your time is,